General Hospital spoilers tease that Rocco never imagined that an accidental eavesdrop could change his life in this way. Standing outside a room, hearing voices inside, he froze when he learned something he shouldn't have. The fragmented but sharp words pierced his mind, revealing the painful truth about Sam's death, a truth no one likely wanted to believe, but if it's true, it will change everything. Rocco's heart raced as he tried to piece the information together in his mind. What he had just heard wasn't just a rumor or a small secret, it was a clear confirmation that Sam's death wasn't an accident or a coincidence. It was the result of a meticulously planned conspiracy, and if what he heard was true, Cyrus was the one behind it all. While Rocco was still reeling from the discovery, elsewhere, Dante was getting closer to the truth through his investigation. He didn't know that his own son was holding a crucial piece of the puzzle that could bring the case to a close. But the scariest thing was that if Dante's findings matched what Rocco had heard, it wouldn't just confirm a crime, it would also open the door to a new tragedy. Cyrus was not the type to let the truth come to light without reacting. If he felt someone was about to expose him, he wouldn't hesitate to take ruthless steps to protect himself. And if Rocco really held an important piece of the puzzle, it meant he could also become Cyrus's next target. Caught between fear and a sense of responsibility, Rocco didn't know what to do. He could stay silent, pretend he hadn't heard anything, and protect himself from danger. But by doing so, he would allow Cyrus to escape justice, to continue his rampage, and possibly cause more suffering. On the other hand, if Rocco decided to speak out, if he shared the truth with Danny or even with Dante, he would face a series of unpredictable consequences. However, Rocco couldn't shake the image of Scout crying over the loss of her mother, or Danny's pained face as he struggled to accept this harsh reality. It made him realize that the truth couldn't be hidden forever. But would he have the courage to face the consequences? And if he revealed everything, would he put himself in even greater danger? In a town like Port Charles, where truth and lies are intertwined, where conspiracies and revenge lurk at every corner, Rocco was standing on a dangerous line. He knew that once the truth came out, there would be no turning back. And he also knew that a storm was approaching, one that might not only make Cyrus pay, but could drag everyone down with him. Rocco never thought he could get caught up in such a dangerous conspiracy. But since the moment he overheard the truth about Sam's death, a fire of anger had ignited inside him, an obsession that couldn't be extinguished. Sam wasn't just his stepmother, she was an important part of Scout's, Danny's, and even Dante's life. Her death wasn't a coincidence or fate, it was a deliberate act, and Rocco knew who was behind it. He couldn't just sit back and let things pass as if nothing had happened. Rocco's thirst for revenge was growing, pushing him to dangerous limits. He didn't just want to know the truth, he wanted to make Cyrus pay. This was no longer the pain of a child losing a loved one, it had turned into an uncontrollable rage. And it was this obsession that was pulling Rocco into a dark spiral from which he might never escape. But Rocco couldn't fight alone. He needed someone who could understand and share this burden, and no one was better suited than Danny. When Rocco revealed what he had overheard, Danny was completely stunned. The truth was too cruel, but at the same time, it sparked a new determination in him. They had both lost their mother, and now, they couldn't let Cyrus continue to live without facing consequences. But in that moment, when Rocco and Danny decided to act, they didn't realize they were stepping into a much bigger battle than they imagined. Each secret Rocco revealed was a step closer to the truth, but it was also a step closer to danger. They might be trying to bring Cyrus down, but they were also becoming prey being hunted. Dante had warned not to let hatred cloud their judgment, but Rocco no longer cared. He didn't just want justice for Sam, he wanted Cyrus to pay for what he had done. But when emotions overshadow reason, when anger turns into reckless action, it was no longer just a fight for justice. This had become real madness, a storm of hatred that could destroy everything in its path. Rocco and Danny were walking down a dangerous road, and if they didn't stop in time, they could become the next ones to pay the price. A new disaster was approaching, and this time, it wasn't just Cyrus who was threatened, it could push them into a situation with no way out. Danny had never felt so angry and so desperate for justice. Sam's death had left a hole in his life, and now, as the truth slowly emerged, he knew that Cyrus was the one responsible. But what Danny couldn't bear was the fact that he was still free, going about his life while Danny's family had to suffer an irreparable pain. With each passing day, Danny felt his anger consuming his reason. He no longer wanted to just stand on the sidelines and let the adults handle it. For him, justice couldn't wait, and that meant he had to act immediately. Rocco might have been the first to reveal the shocking secrets, but it was Danny who was ready to take things further. He didn't just want to expose Cyrus, he wanted to make him pay in the most painful way possible. But by walking down this path, Danny was also putting himself in danger. He wasn't just facing a ruthless man like Cyrus, but he was entering a battle whose consequences he might not fully understand. Each step Danny took brought him closer to a violent spiral, and the worst part was that he didn't care whether he was hurt or not. And then, the inevitable moment arrived. Danny was ready to face Cyrus. This was no longer just a plan in his head, but a reality unfolding. He didn't need to think about whether it was right or wrong, because for him, Cyrus deserved to suffer the consequences. But when standing before the enemy, Danny was no longer a teenager, he was a son seeking revenge for his mother, no matter the cost. However, what Danny didn't realize was that once he entered this battle, he had lost control of the situation. Cyrus wasn't an easy adversary to defeat, and he was prepared to deal with anyone who dared threaten him. A dangerous event was waiting to unfold, and Danny might soon find himself in a situation with no way back. In his fury, Danny could forget what really mattered, his safety, Rocco's, and his family's. But when everything reached its peak, when he confronted Cyrus, the biggest question would be, could Danny win, or would he become just another part of the tragedy he was trying to end? Danny had never thought that his determination would push him to the brink of real danger. From the moment he decided not to stand on the sidelines and seek justice for Sam, he had unknowingly pushed himself into a battle from which he might never escape. Cyrus had shown that he didn't hesitate to eliminate anyone who got in his way, and now, Danny was the last thorn that needed to be removed. Cyrus wasn't just a scheming criminal, he was a ruthless man who knew how to strike at the right moment to ensure no one could oppose him. When he realized Danny was getting closer to the truth, asking dangerous questions and even looking for evidence to expose him, Cyrus knew that Danny's time had run out. A teenager with strong will might not be an immediate threat, but if allowed to continue, everything could change. And for Cyrus, no risk was too great for him to take. What followed was a terrifying nightmare for all of Port Charles. When news of Danny's attack spread, it sent all of his loved ones into a state of panic. But no one was more shaken than Jason. The moment Jason heard that his son had been targeted, his entire world collapsed. He had lost Sam, the most important woman in his life, and now his son was becoming the target of the very man who caused that tragedy. The pain of loss weighed heavily on him again, but this time, it wasn't just despair, it was overwhelming rage. Jason wasn't someone easily controlled by emotions, but this time, things had gone too far. He had always protected his loved ones, always fought to keep them safe, but this time, he couldn't do that. He couldn't save Sam. And now, Danny might be taken from him too. Nothing could stop Jason anymore. Cyrus had made a grave mistake thinking he could hurt his family without facing consequences. Jason had confronted the most ruthless enemies before, had fought in unforgiving battles, but this time, his motivation wasn't just to protect or seek revenge, it was to completely destroy. He wouldn't give Cyrus the chance to hurt anyone else. If Danny didn't survive, Cyrus wouldn't live to see tomorrow. But even if his son survived, it wouldn't change the fact that Cyrus had crossed the line, and Jason wouldn't stop until he was completely eradicated. Port Charles was about to face a terrible storm. When someone like Jason loses everything that matters to him, the consequences would be unimaginable. And this time, Cyrus had truly sparked a war he couldn't win.